Morning everybody, welcome to All Four Queens. I hope everyone's doing well this morning, and you've done all your work and you've done all your practices, or you're going to start doing it, and you got a bit of a journal. I must admit I need to sort of put mine into a bit of perspective as well, but as I said to you before, this is the eye of the storm, isn't it? So I'm recording as I'm going through things. Now, a lot of people could say stop holding on to the energy, but I'm doing what I'm guided to do. And the reason why I'm doing it is because for me, in one of my earlier recordings, you'll see that I actually said this has been going on my whole life. And when these things, spiritual wickedness, is going on your whole life, and although you know who you're going to call, because at the end of the day, all people are going to do is there's so many people that are trying to sell a narrative of who you are. They've lied so much, they've perjured themselves so much, they've got so many organisations involved, exes involved, friends involved, large institutions involved because of secret societies and who they've been linked to when they were kids and things like that. So who are you going to call? Who you're going to actually tell. And when I awakened early on, I realised that when you do try and express yourself, they have these people everywhere, and they have them in senior positions as well, so that they can try and discredit you. So you realise very quickly that faith and prayer and tapping in to the unseen is the only way forward. And why do I say that? Is because the physical realm is manipulated by their weaknesses, and obviously I would say most of the weaknesses in the physical that I've seen is money, sex, power, control. But in the spiritual realm, which obviously we're all attuned to and attached to because we're all spirit, they're not, they're souls that have passed over that are already, doing what they need to do and watching over us. So that's why things happen up there and then manifest down here. So that's one of the reasons why I say, this is a spiritual channel. It is about the things that people probably know about but don't actually want to believe happens, but it does happen. And I'm just grateful now that all the things that have ever happened to me are now out in the open, in the physical, so people can actually see it for what it is. And for all those people throughout my life who got involved for a bit of cash, they probably didn't realise that at some point, infinity 2014, the year, karmic return, the 8 on the side, everything that was ever done going back is now here. And so for all their involvement, getting involved with other people, you've taken on their karma, and now you've got your own karma and you've got their karma to deal with. Now that, it's, I walk as I'm walking karmic justice, but I don't actually give you your karma. That's down to whatever's in your Akashic records and whatever the spiritual realm feel that you need to deal with. But what I do know is it's 30, 40, probably 45 years of karma going back. And like I said before, I hope this is a message to people going forward that years ago you could do things and karma never returned straight away because we were in a different cycle of like the planetary movements. But now we're in Aquarius, and it's more about, the we, not the ego. Energy moves faster, so anything that you do that's not right, you will get your karma straight away. And why do I say that? If you look at one of my earlier recordings where I had 2 meals and I wasn't supposed to take it, immediately I was thrown across the floor and the dinners went all over me. So energy works fast, and I stood up and I had to accept it, and I just said, yeah, sorry, I take it on the chin. I don't even know why I said yes, but I took it on the chin. So what I'm saying to you now is, for all those people that are now suffering and are going through karma, my suggestion, as I said in the previous one, is surrender. Surrender. I've got so many people trying to tap into me on a 5D level through the phone, through numbers. But you know what? You had your time. You had your moments in time years ago to put things right, and you chose not to out of greed, envy, jealousy, and cloning. and putting me in programs that I never asked to be in. And so, you know, when the spiritual realm has to step in because the people on the physical realm are not doing what they were paid to do, i.e. serve and protect, because remember, we pay you to be there to do for us. So, you know, just be mindful of that. So anyway, today's session, what I wanted to do on today's session, I haven't got any cards, but I just want to recap and reflect. I've just been sitting there in reflection on some of the things that I have physically gone through. Now, you'll see on the earlier ones, like identity theft, gang stalking, harassment, you know, everything that you could possibly think. And why do they do that? One is because they want to induce fear to keep you on low vibration so they can energy harvest off you. Two, they want to create a narrative of who you are. So they want to force a mental psychological issue because that's what they've lied about in the past to be able to steal from you. So they'll do all those things to be able to, you know, try and force you into a position. They'll take away, you know, your basic needs like your monetary and your home, come for your home like they did with me. All the things that they want to do. Now, bear in mind, this is organisations, institutions, secret societies, a whole load of people, military, probably government as well, because obviously the directed energy weapons, the biochemicals and everything that they use, all those things and all the people that have been involved and they've signed off will be getting karma now because they put their name to something. However, they came for one person. If that's not bullying and abuse, and if that's not abusing one's authority and power, then what is? But what it does demonstrate is that God does exist, the higher powers do exist, and they will decide who and what, not the people on the actual physical plane. And my reading yesterday was explaining what God does to the noble if they don't pull the socks up. So I just want to sort of say this because obviously, you know, if you've just seen my channel, it is about spiritual warfare, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. These things happen, and I think everybody knows it happens. And as I said before, the world's an onion. There's an onion of people that are asleep and maybe they're not meant to wake up. There's an onion of people that are awake but just choose to be an ostrich. Then there's the collective that are awake, and then there's the ones that are in the fluffy spiritual side and they're awake. So, but you know, for us, for me, I mean, you know, if I signed up for this, I signed up for it. But for me, I'm in the eye of the storm, the stuff that's, you know, people are trying to do in the darkness, but it's now all coming to the light. And I do believe there's a physical footprint as well, because what they don't know is that, you know, my background was law. And I was working in law, and obviously they've tried to block me from work opportunities, they've blocked my phone, they've done everything you could possibly think. But what they don't remember, what they've got to remember is everything you do to one person will always come back to you. So that's why kindness is free. So, and just because you do stuff spiritually to try and take someone out for a bit of money, and I mean, I know it's not a bit of money, but to try and take somebody out for money, it's still attempted murder. Whichever way you look at it, just because people don't see it doesn't mean it's not attempted murder. And I know there are people watching it, because I know way back people were watching it because people did some really silly things. They got sloppy in their behaviour because they got arrogant and they became ignorant. So the list, how I've said it, is 2024 is the year of infinity and karmic return. Spiritual wickedness, darkness is being exposed in the light. Just because people believe and they work in societies and they've got hands, they've got people in different pockets, and you know, they can pay people and bribe people. No face, no case. And I've got really question mark. So I've obviously gone through all the identity theft. I went through all the stolen letters. My address was changed. The harassment, all the reputational stuff, the lies, the slander, the smear campaigns, the fake sexual recordings, and the ones that were real, I never consented to them, but they were all put on the dark web and like trying to exploit me and make me out to be something I'm not. And when I'd had a drink, people taking pictures when I've fallen asleep to make me look as though I'm a drunkard, and to just basically create this profile of what they lied and said I was. The witchcraft, doing black magic and voodoo, and, you know, trying to do love spells and death spells and come to me spells and blocking spells, and, you know, using technology, the directed energy weapon, which questions, you know, that's military, so who's authorized it? The biochemicals, again, military. And I know that the biochemicals, because whoever's in my internet is quite arrogant and keeps sending certain adverts covertly, but basically they're sort of giving me an insight into how arrogant they actually are and what they think they're clever in doing. But obviously you've got to remember, you're not cleverer than God, and you're not cleverer in the spiritual realm. And using electronic frequency to mess with my DNA, poisoning my food, water, and like blocking the basics, blocking my work, stopping me from work, and deleting work opportunities, even voluntary opportunities, which obviously goes against God. Blocking my phones, you know, you've seen that on some of the recordings I block my phones. Monitoring my home phone, tracking my internet, blocking my internet as and when they feel like it, tracking my car and tracking me, because I do believe they've got some sort of track on me. It seems funny that I can be somewhere and someone else is there that I've not seen for a very long time. How did they know I was there? How did they know I was in a certain place at a certain time to bump into me? Makes you question, doesn't it? Violating my privacy and my human rights, cameras in my home, voyeurism, listening devices, sending energetic diseases, which obviously they do through all the voodoo and stuff with their sex magic and stuff like that. Manipulating energy, which is obviously what they've got the neighbourhood to do, is obviously these prey, P-R-E-Y. But I think that, you know, it's quite sad really that people have fallen for the temptation, because, you know, their lineage is going to suffer now as well. But then, you know, I say God works in mysterious ways, doesn't he? He wanted everyone together in a collective so he can probably do what he needs to do in one big hit. Collecting a policy insurance on a death that was a lie years ago, and then to create an illusion to hide the person so that an inheritance can be used to feed a dark coven cult, which is a sex occult, and a little bit like The Handmaid's Tale. I'll probably go into that a little bit more, which obviously has, you know, some sexual diseases, HIV, STDs, STIs, which obviously, as it's an open polyamorous setup, they go out on dating sites, try and get other people, and then, you know, pass it on, but then energy harvest and then take it back to like the hive. Now I ask the question, are all these things authorised by officials? Officials include especially the energetic stuff and the energy equipment, and I've watched people have deliveries, big pieces of deliveries, so I know who's where and what, but I'm sure the true officials, the ones that are real, looking out for us, know as well, because obviously they're tracking our devices just like these people are. So, you know, authorised by officials or rogue bad apples, and I put that in a previous one about the bad apples, and people need to take control of their companies and their businesses, who abuse their positions of authority to have power. Now, I think people need to remember this. I know who my boss is, and I know who I need to be obedient to. The question is, do you? And also, you've got to remember that God is the secret keeper. He knows everything. The Akashic Records is recorded by Archangel Metatron, and he holds everything in there. So everything that everyone's ever done, spoken, thought, is in those records. And obviously they decide when it's time for it all to come back to you. What people also need to remember is that you can't force a self-fulfilling prophecy. So just because you've said someone's not here, you can't then make it happen. And you also can't try and force mental health on someone because you've said they've got mental health. Because my question is, who really does have mental health to want to do this to one person? You've got to ask yourself the question, and to get all these people involved to try and facilitate it. And all that person's here to do is to do God's work and help other people elevate and raise their vibration and come out of of this dark negativity. Some will be able to come out of it, but some are so dense and dark they probably will never be able to come out of it. That's why they do something so sinister behind the scenes, and that's why they'll probably never be able to be in my vicinity, because I shine too light, and their darkness, I irritate their demons. So, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? So I've also received fake medical letters, fake holiday letters telling, you know, about holiday companies, which obviously you need to be mindful of this, because, you know, you need to protect yourself. This happens. They do these things because they want to sacrifice people. Fake moving companies. I mean, how do they know that I'm moving? I haven't told anybody. Fake canvassing calls. I got a fake canvassing call yesterday, and I knew it was fake because you could hear it in his voice. I mean, this is why discernment and intuition is so important, because basically he wasn't really selling anything, but what he wanted was my voice. And obviously with my YouTube recordings, the reason why they've sort of sidelined my YouTube channel and I've only got the views from the people in the societies and maybe some of the organisations, I haven't got it from the whole world because they've blocked it. But the reason why they've done that is because they want to manipulate my voice and whatever and use technology to do so. But I've got the original recording, and God and the Akashic records know the truth. So I personally would tell you to stop, because you're not doing yourself any favours. But hey ho, you do what you want, don't you? So yeah, so the cloning of my YouTube channel and blocking it. But what I will say is the behaviour that they're demonstrating is just confirmation for me of everything that's ever gone on in my life. All the towers, the loss of jobs, you know, having to go to the doctors and get signed off, and you know, they've used that as to say, oh look, you know, look, she's got mental illness, but actually they created the drama in the workplace, paying people to actually cause me distress. You know, who does that? You know, you got to ask yourself, who would go to those lengths to do that? Just for money and power and control. So, and this has been going on, this has been ongoing for over 40 years, but I am thankful and grateful to the spiritual realm, God, Jesus, archangels and the ancestors who are in control and always were. Not the devil. He works for God to set the trap of temptation for everybody involved. And if you remember, Job 1 demonstrates that, and God works in mysterious ways. He knew exactly what everyone was going to do, when they were going to do it, and he made sure that they all came together at the same time in 2024 so that he can deliver his wrath. Because remember what he says, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Do not avenge. I will repay. So, I think that probably sums it up in those that have tried to play God in my life for as long as they have, and probably in the life of others. My only thing that is sadness is the fact of how many people have they done this to, and who unfortunately were not aware of what was happening to them and did sadly lose their lives because of it. So I ask that everybody has a small prayer for all those that have lost their lives at the hands of these people because of greed, power. You know, it's senseless and it's reckless behaviour, and it needs to stop. And those that enable it need to stop too. At the moment, I'm feeling, I said yesterday, I'm feeling a lot of regret. I'm not sure if it's remorse. I feel like at the moment it's probably regret, because everyone's been caught out now. Every lie that they said has now been dismantled and been proven to be untrue. And everyone who thought it was a good idea to make money, to ostracise, isolate and block my path and stop me from helping other people in service and dabble in the black magic, even though you probably didn't realise what you were being asked to do, and prey on me, everyone's exposed. And everybody that took the devil's money because at the time it was good, whether it was yesterday or 40 years ago, you're now having to answer to it. Because the ancestors and the archangels and the celestial beings on God's orders are now returning it all back. So again, I just hope that people understand that whilst you believe in the devil, and no one says you don't have, no one says you shouldn't, you do what you want, you have to believe in God and, you know, all the higher beings, all the higher powers of the light, and whatever's done in the dark will always come through to the light. So there are no secrets. It's just there's something called divine timing, and that's when they decide, when it all comes back, because we all get an opportunity to course redirect. We all know that what we're doing is right and wrong, because I think, you know, as adults we all know what's right and wrong, but greed and, you know, doing it the slow way, sometimes people don't like doing that, but you still have to, actions have consequences. And throughout my journey I have tried to help people. I've said things like actions have consequences, and I've given them a kind, gentle nudge and explained why I'm leaving their life. I've said to people, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I have tried to give wisdom, but people choose not to listen to it. So, you know, I've done what I was sent in to do to help you on your journey. The choice is yours whether you accept that help. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to say I love yous and leave yous. I hope to those that are new to the channel and understanding, I hope you see it. But I think at the moment, because I'm not showing on the internet as a YouTube channel, they've cloned it into something else and they've offsided it somewhere. So only those in the cults and the covens are watching it, I guess, because I can sense it. But, you know, either way, if there's one or two people in there that have realised they've gone down a very dark path in the rabbit hole and they're now fighting, as in the Five of Swords, I think Five of Wands, if you look at the light seers, there's the Five of Wands, everyone's fighting, someone's fighting to get to the light. I hope if I can at least help one person who's in the darkness try and fight to get in the light, whilst someone is trying to control everything, because they're a bit of a control freak and they're a bit obsessive, then I've done my job. And if he wants to have you back, then he will have that with you directly. So take it easy, sending love, hope and peace to everyone. And I hope that, you know, unfortunately karmic justice isn't nice, but maybe, you know, we've all got lessons to learn, and maybe I hope that people have learnt their lessons and learnt that, you know, kindness is free, and treating people with respect and dignity goes a long way, and being grateful and being humble for what you already have, opposed to always wanting more and being greedy. So sending love and light. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call this now, but I will think of something, I think. And so see you later. Bye.